were looking at the many defensive backs that you added in the transfer portal, what were some of the traits that you were looking for, and what do you think about the overall group that you were able to bring in?
First and foremost, was just looking for guys that actually fit us, which is a really difficult thing to do in the portal, right? Because it's like speed dating, but some guys that really fit our program, fit our secondary, and some of the things that we like to do on the back end in terms of technique and whatnot. Guys with experience, guys that could come in and contribute to the program right away. And so far, love the group that we have. Great group of guys. Love learning. Love coming in, getting extra work, which really can go a long, long way in the process.
Particularly Tyrese Boss, what stood out to you when you looked at his film, and how has he settled in?
Just a young man that has played a ton of ball. He was poised to play as a true freshman at Wyoming, ended up having an injury that kept him out, returned the next year and ended up a full-time starter for him. And I just loved how he competed, playing and play out. And a young man that has been a thrill to have, awesome, loves the process, and really fits us, and what we're trying to get accomplished this year.
Jason and Brian?
Boodle, what have you seen from him so far in camp?
Dwight is very, very wiry. He's very quick. He can run. Reminds me a lot of the guys that we had last year. And he's played a ton, starting at Nebraska and then moving over to Charlotte. He's a young man that, hails from Dade County, Dade County, Florida. And he's a young man that brings a lot of energy to the room. The guys love him, take to him, and he's a guy that I think is going to make a lot of plays for us this year.
Especially when you're looking in the portal, just in general, experience factor, guys that you mentioned, like he's played snaps, how important is that for you?
I think it's very important. I think when you're building a room, you have to factor in not only what you're looking for and what you think can ultimately contribute, to what you guys are trying to get accomplished, but also what you have, right? And so coupled with that, we were looking for some experience, some guys that could come in and not only play right away, but also, give you the ability to have some continuity in the years to come, right? I think every school in the country would like the guys that are, seniors and they've played 3-4 years and they're in their last season, but to turn over a roster like that every year is tough. So tried to look for some guys with some years under their belt in terms of playing time, but also some guys that could give the room some continuity in the years to come.
Brian and Justin?
Continuity is actually what I wanted to ask you about. This is the second year of this system with Danny and all that. How is this spring different than the first one or is it more just about fine-tuning and getting the new guys up to speed rather than having to teach everybody something brand new?
How about Coach Danny Gonzales in year one? All right, back against the wall, nobody believing him. What a freaking awesome leader of men, God-fearing man, love working for him. I'll tell you this, with rolling into our second year, it's exciting. It's almost hard to contain myself because I think we have something special here, starting with the coaching staff from the top to the bottom. But the most part right now is getting the guys acclimated to who we are, red line, effort, execution, and accountability first, right? And then from there, making sure that they understand our defense, our scheme, and what we're trying to get accomplished. And Coach Gonzales does an awesome job of making sure we have the message, the plan, and what we're trying to get accomplished on down to the players. And he makes it clear, coaches don't win games, players do. And so it starts with them. And so that everything that we do serves a purpose, right? From the start of the practice to end of practice. And Coach Gonzales has done an awesome job of heading that.
Yeah, and I assume that the results from this past year helped with selling guys on this to come here. Look at the results that we produce with this kind of play. Is that?
Sure, absolutely. I think that is a huge part of it. I also think that it's very important to keep at the forefront that yesterday's scores don't count in today's ball game, and so not necessarily a rebuild, but this is who we are and this is what we do. And Danny Gonzales, stood up in front of us as a staff and in front of that defense at the start of last year and told them we were going to be good on defense. and we were. And to me, that's a man that knows what he wants, but ultimately what he's capable of, and what this his system is capable of producing. And I mean, he stood on that on all 10 toes, and we were able to execute. And this year's no different. But our guys understand that, we aren't going to sneak up on anybody. We have to put in the man hours to get it done come this fall.
Justin, and one. I know Javion's limited this spring, but how do you reflect on his last year at Arizona and kind of what's next for him and what that next year is?
Oh, man, a ton of expectation. Really proud of Javion Cole. And as you look at it, this is a young man who was really a part-time starter for us, accepted that role, but was able to take the field when we needed him, whether it was starter or coming off of the bench, and perform, right? And ultimately be all conference. But he's a young man that's matured. He's taken full control of that room, and he's leading these guys into this season. And, limited or not, I think Javion is probably gaining just as much experience in being off the field, because now he's like a coach, right? So he's sitting in all the meetings. And I was teasing with him. I was like, you either don't like me as a coach, or, you're really thinking about moving positions, because we go to, position meetings. He's spending time with the D-line, the backers, the safeties, really learning the system, because he has time to right now. And so he's a young man that, we expect big things from, come this year. I'm really excited for him in his last season.
How was that during the Holiday Bowl when you guys were making those adjustments and you guys ended up throwing out 4 corners and Javion was playing a little bit of safety? What was that experience like for you?
It's funny, and I don't know if Coach Gonzales has shared the story. At one point during the preparation, when we were going through all of that and knew that we weren't going to have, the three-headed monster with us, it was a thought of his, but he kept it to himself. It was a thought of mine, and I kept it to myself. And so really wanted to give those young guys a shot. And so we get into the game, and things aren't going the way that we like, and we get in, and, Coach Gonzales is staring at me, like staring into my soul, and I'm looking back at him, and I'm like, what's up? And he's like, who's your 4 best corners? And I'm like, so I name them. It's just the 2 deep, and he's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. He grabs a grease board and a marker. This is what we're doing. We're all looking at each other like, is he crazy? Like, what are we going to do? What are we doing here? And immediately when we go out, I think the thing that we built on the back end, and something that Coach Gonzales has built and instilled in our guys, is when your number's called, no matter what we're asking you to do, you don't ask why, you just go, and you go do. And Aiden Garnes and Javion Cole didn't flinch, and that was awesome. That was awesome for us. And, who knows? You may see that package again. You may not. Who knows?
When you return a guy like Javion, most teams will go to the other side of the field. How important is it for the other guys to become better this spring and fall to be ready for the next year?
See, I think I'm a defensive guy, so I think that's a myth. I think the offense is going to attack wherever they want to attack. If that's the case, absolutely. That other guy needs to be prepared to, to answer the call when the offenses attack. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. Left side, right side, field boundary. Those 2 edge guys, those 2 perimeter guys got to be ready to cover and do their jobs when it's time.
Justin? Zaire Heiler, what stood out to you about his high school tape, and how do you think he's going to help you guys?
Zaire Heiler was an interesting young man. He's a young man that hadn't played a ton of cornerback. He was a former receiver, so the ball skills, obviously. Just his ability to move. He reminded me a lot of a young man that we had here on previous seasons in Tacario Davis, to be that long and tall and be able to sink his hips and move and change direction. And then ultimately a young man that, during the process of getting to know him and his family, I thought he fit us. And so Zaire he's obviously here early. He's getting a ton of reps because we have some guys that are out. Zaire he's learning how to be a Division I college football player, and he's really, really embracing that, and I'm really excited about him being here with us.
We have time for 1 or 2 more.
So I know that a lot of people talk about the big 3 getting ready for the NFL draft, but there's some other guys that have pro aspirations. In your opinion, Why do you think guys like Michael Dansby, Viney guards could maybe translate to the next level?
They can run and they can cover. They can play every technique. Those guys can move inside, play nickel positions at the next level because they can learn the scheme. What we asked those guys to do this year was nothing short of amazing. Two of the best young men that I've been around. Very low maintenance off the field. Ball means everything to them. And I believe young men that can ultimately contribute on defense and special teams. The three-headed monster goes without saying. Those guys will forever be etched in history here at the University of Arizona. But what Aiden Garnes and Michael Dansby were able to come here and do in just one season for us, was special. You're talking about two guys now, and I don't get to toot their horn a little bit, but I will here. You're talking about two guys that in the spring, okay, one was out in Michael Dansby and the other that was playing nickel back for us because Traden Stukes was out. So they didn't have a ton of corner reps, right? And so then you get into the fall camp and those two ultimately compete and they win the job and they go out and they help orchestrate the #1 pass defense in the country. That's special.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys. Hey, you guys are the best, man. You guys can save me some pizza and wings.
We're both light skinned. So
Because
last
what,
night.
Chapa's out?
And Dale and Austin.
Oh, they have him at safety, Dalen?
Dale's gonna play safety. Yeah.
He had like a shoulder.
Yeah.
He was supposed to start, wasn't he?
I think he's gonna start.
I think Viney said that too. What's up, team?
What up?
I
Tyrese, how's it been the last few months just settling into your new chapter here at Arizona?
It's been great, honestly. The transition from coming from Wyoming to here, the weather was always different in Wyoming, so it's kind of good to sit back in the, hot, sunny weather. But, the competition was really the biggest thing, and I think I've been adapting very well to it. And so, the transition been, hard, but it's been very good at the end of the day, so it's been going well.
This question is for both of you guys. You guys can both answer this. I saw earlier this week you guys had a one-on-one drill with boxing gloves, and then you had another drill where you guys were wearing goggles, so where it only keeps your focus straight. Can you just tell us about those drills and how they help you guys?
So the boxing gloves is really to help us with our feet and not being able to use our hands a lot. So I wasn't in the goggles, but with the gloves, it was more like, trying not to grab and really reach for stuff. So it gets your feet really activated, having to move the leverage and change the leverage with just your feet and not really being able to collision and catch with your hands. So you really have to make sure you're in the position with your feet first. So, it's different, but, it's really going to help us at the end of the day. So I think that's a real good drill with the goggles as well. It's a real good drill for us to be doing.
So I was the opposite of him. I wasn't in the glove, but I was in the goggles. So the goggles take away your peripheral vision. So, it's really a blessing having that vision. So, I can't, if I'm looking this way, I wouldn't be able to see you. Only people think I can see the people in front of me. So just like to help with when you're man and man, just seeing your man, only your man.
Jason?
For Tyrese, what was your path there in terms of entering the portal and contact and all that?
So really, the first to reach out to me when the portal opened was really Coach Chip, and how he talked to me and stuff like that. It really made me realize that, he was a coach that really wanted to help me develop as a corner, and not only as a man, but really get me to spots as a player that I'm really not at right now. So his development game with me and the conversations we had were always about that development, where, with the team and, where he sees me. So that really brought me and attracted me here, as long as with all the other coaches as well. They had when I first got here on my visit, it was open arms since as soon as I walked in the building, like I said in another interview, it was more instead of handshakes, it was a lot of hugs and stuff like that, make it feel like a family event almost. So yeah, that was really, that really helped me make my decision, but that's how it really went.
Brian and Justin?
John, what's this spring camp been like compared to last year as far as getting used to the scheme that Coach Gonzales has for defense?
The difference is, feel like we're more comfortable in the scheme. It's second year under Coach G. And Coach G just, I think he's a great leader of men. Like Gav said, Coach G just pushes us, not only on the field, but off the field. He just wants us to be the best. So it just tuning up the little things now. Then last year was learning the whole new system. But it's been good being the second year in. It's just tuning up the little things, finding an extra, learn more about the line and stuff like that.
Justin? Jono, I think you're the first Jono I've ever met. Is there any significance behind your name?
So I don't really know how I got named Jono. But my mom told me a quick story. It's so they were trying to figure out names, and my dad's name is John. So my aunt was we'll just put an O at the end and make it John. I was so yeah.
And then you grew up in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
Right? Cool. What was your upbringing and your childhood like?
Okay, so I got 3 older brothers. 2 of them are in the NFL, my stepbrothers, and then I got 1 older brother. So being under them, it was it helped a lot to get me here now where I am. So they just paved the way, and I followed along and just put the work in. And then I went to Menlo Atherton High School, played a little bit of safety there. I went private school, kindergarten through 8th grade, so I changed in high school to go public to get a little different feel. Met new connections, made lifelong friends. And then I went to junior college in College of San Mateo for the best JUCO in the nation. As you've seen, they went back to back over there. And then I feel like the coach over there, Coach T, he's a great leader as well as him and Coach G. They both know how to develop men. Yeah.
And then your relatives that are in the NFL, who are they?
Nashawn Wright and Rajon Wright. Nashawn Wright on the Jets and then Rajon Wright on the Saints. My stepbrothers.
One of those guys was he at Last Chance U?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in one episode, so yeah, that was kind of cool.
You were in one of the episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Justin, go.
I was gonna say, what was that like, experiencing the Last Chance U?
It was just crazy seeing a different view of him. It's crazy to see somebody blow up overnight. The director called him. He said, "Just get ready to blow up." And then you just see us following skyrocket, and then you go on TikTok, you see a bunch of edits of him. So it was pretty cool seeing that. So yeah.
And then how would you summarize your college journey, right? The road less traveled, right, going through JUCO and all that. How do you think that has prepared you and helped you as a football player?
I feel like going JUCO, it helped a lot. Like it helped me grow up a little bit faster. Like I feel like I wasn't so immature. I wasn't immature, but like I wasn't like to that level. So going JUCO helped me like get to that different type of mindset. Like, okay, you got to put the work in, not only on the field, but like you got to take care of business off the field. And then taking care of business, like when you take care of business off the field, I feel like it makes everything on the field easier. So it was just like JUCO was a grind, way different than here. But like I feel like that's why I'm here today.
And then what are your impressions of Tyrese and also the newcomers at cornerback?
Tyrese is my boy. Like he just got here. Like it feel like I've known him my whole life. They elite. They ready to play. They ready to compete. So I like that. We go Boo. I'm a Boo all the time. I'm him and Boo. And Zaire. Boo's another competitor. All them guys, all the new guys, they love competing. So I like that a lot. So I can ride with those guys.
And what have both of you guys seen out of Zaire Highland, the freshman? And what advice do you give him as he starts his college journey?
You know, he's something special. Like, honestly, I think he has a lot of stuff that, you know, a lot of young people have. He has that right now. You know, some people keep coming out from early enrollees, I feel like they have a lot of development to go. Even though he has to develop still, it's like you see a lot of glimpses of things. It's like, okay, he could really be a great player. Like when he goes through the whole process, you know, and he listens, he listens very well, and he's like he's real good with details and attention. You know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, he keeps his head down and keeps it locked in and stays down to the program. I think he's really going to have a good football career.
And then Javion Cole, he's a leader of the room. I know he's been limited so far, but for John, being teammates with him over the last year or so, what makes him such a good player and also a good leader?
I feel like Book buys into everything he does. He knows how to attack the work, and he does everything right. He's a great listener, even better teammate, and it's like a guy you can always count on. So yeah.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good seeing you.
You as well.
Perfect. We're ready to rock. We'll start with an opening statement from
Awesome. See, it was a setup to begin with, so that way you have to stay here. You got no reason to run out of here, because this one we haven't talked for a while, so we need to catch up, huh? So first off, I want to give my condolences to Michael Lev. Losing a parent is never easy, and for him to know that we support him, and our condolences and prayers are out for him and his heart, and we're praying for his heart to heal. Mom's in a better place, and it's consoling to the heart. I lost my mom in 2019, so I know what he's going through. It's never easy to lose a parent, but just prayers and blessings to him. Second, it's exciting to be back. I mean, congratulations to all the athletic teams at Arizona. I mean, what a run by our basketball team. And I want to say thank you to Desiree for including some of the football staff. Having the opportunity to go. My family went to San Diego. I took a lot of grief because my entire family didn't go to San Jose, but I did. And my daughter reminds me every day about her not being at I tried to buy her an Elite 8 shirt. She's like, why? I didn't go. Which is awesome because they wanted to be there. And then we had the opportunity to go to the Final Four. What a blessing. And you know, for a long time, I've been strong on saying we're going to make this statement that this is Arizona football, from a great disappointment to excitement. And the amount of people after the basketball game, which was heartbreaking, they just happened to play a Michigan team that got hot at the right moment, and they didn't play as up to their best game, which happens. But everybody, as we were leaving that stadium, was talking about Coach's football season. which is exciting. I mean, we created some magic that they created here before, and now everybody's excited. And the challenge to that is we have a good football team coming back. How do we not let that football team think that it's going to be easy? Because nothing in life that ever comes easy is good or worth it. And so that's been the biggest challenge, because we've got a very confident group, but we have to maintain and keep them from getting arrogant and being arrogant. We've got the best quarterback in the country, in my opinion, coming back. First team all Big 12 quarterback, which is fantastic. And as good a quarterback as Noah Fafita is, he's an even greater person. And to have him leading our football team, I think he's the most important person in this building, because coaches don't play. Players play. Players win games. And we have some elite players like Noah that have the ability to do that. Okay? This is going to be Team 123. What a great opportunity. And there's two words that really stink in if you keep hearing your name associated with it. It's opportunity and potential. If somebody keeps telling you have potential, that means you haven't been doing what they think you can do. And we have a great opportunity, but don't waste the opportunity. We had an opportunity against BYU with 1:07 left to recover a fumble that when I sat up here in August and said we're playing for an opportunity to go to the CFP, and everybody thought I was out of my mind, we're one fumble recovery away from playing in the conference championship again against Texas Tech, and I can't wait till Halloween. Okay? If you go back all the way to 1899, team number 1 at Arizona football. Okay? Similarities between team number 1 and team 123. Okay? Team number 1 had 17 players. 6 of them were from high school at that time, trying to create a football team. They had to go out in the local community and fundraise to get uniforms. Okay? It's pretty simple with what Team 123 is going to have to do, because now we get to put patches and logos and go out and ask people to give us money to put stuff on our uniforms. So we're trying to do the same thing that team number 1 did in garnering some money. Now, our money's going to be used a little bit different. We don't have to raise money for helmets. Neither did they, because they didn't wear them. How about that? First football team didn't wear helmets. They stuffed, if you read on our board in the facility, it talks about 1899 and team number 1. They used T-shirts underneath their shirts for shoulder pads. Okay? And it was a violent game back then because they didn't really know the rules. Half of them didn't even know what football was. And they didn't really throw the ball, so it was, talk about loving the violence of the game of football. How fun is that? Okay? So now we've got to create the debate. The 93 team, which was better, 93 or 98? The great debate. Okay? And Brandon Sanders is in our building. He swears it was 93. Okay? Dennis Northcutt was there today. Dennis Northcutt believes it was 98. The 93 team, statistically, I mean, one, they beat Miami 29-0 in the Fiesta Bowl. And the comparison to the 93 team and the 94 basketball team, which lost to Arkansas in the Final Four, those two teams played in January and April. 98 did not happen. But in 2026, 2025 season, football team played in January, basketball team played in the Final Four. We want to end that debate. We want Team 123 to be the best team there's ever been at the University of Arizona. And you don't have to have the most talent to do that. You have to have enough talent. Well, we have the best quarterback in the history of this program. Now, he's 4 wins away from being the winningest quarterback in the history of this program. Any of you 4 tell me who the winningest quarterback is of all time? Nope. That one, as much as I love Nick Foles, not close.
Is it Dan White?
Nope.
Like Ted Bland.
You guys ain't gonna, you'll never guess this. It's a young man by the name of Alfred Jenkins. Played from 83 to 86. Won 24 games. The winningest quarterback in Arizona history. Noah's at 20. So Noah should pass that some way through midseason. Okay? If we win every single game, he'll pass it after week 5. He's going to have every categorical statistical record at the University of Arizona. And the best part of Noah Fafita, he chose Arizona. He chose to be at the University of Arizona when everything in the world and everybody outside of his family was telling him there's bigger and better. And he didn't believe it. And so now we owe it to him as a football program to surround him with pieces, which I think we have because Coach Daggy and the offensive staff has done a phenomenal job, and then be good on defense and give that young man a chance to leave his legacy as a quarterback that played in the CFP and see what happens from there. That's as exciting, and then the opportunity to end the debate on who the greatest team is in Arizona football history. Okay? Big talk. I stood up here last March and said we were going to be a top 15 defense. We have the pieces to be better, on defense than we were last year. If Chip and Ars can work their magic and coach the guys that we recruited in the secondary, because we got a ton of speed and we have a chance to be really good up front. Let's talk about the big three and all the things that they've done. And everybody was upset that they didn't play in San Diego. And once again, for all those people that are upset, I apologize that we didn't tell them early. I still think, in my opinion, it was the right choice. And I am super grateful to every single fan that made the trek down I-8 through Yuma up to San Diego, or across the 10 down through Barstow, to get to San Diego to watch us play against SMU in a January football game, because we want the city of Tucson to be all in no matter who's on the football field. Because I promise you this, if I'd have sat up here in August or last March and said, in the last 4 games of the season, we're not going to have Trey Smith, we're not going to have Tia Savea, Genesis Smith, who played with a broken foot from Oklahoma State on, y'all would have thought I was crazy if we had said we'd have won the last 5 football games and had a chance to finish in the top 25. We were going to be ranked in 17th in the CFP and have a chance to beat SMU in the 4th quarter of a football game where we didn't have 3 of our best players. And all that happened. And so our belief and what Coach Brennan has established as a football program here, which is really, really exciting, is we're going to develop kids, and next man is going to come up, and he's going to step in and perform his role. And through January, everybody kept asking, Coach, are you guys going to recruit in D lineman? Are you going to recruit in D lineman? You lost Tia, you lost Deshaun, you lost Mally. We haven't seen any big guys. We're plenty big. We've got a great development program, and what Coach Salavea is doing, and that I'm super excited about our front 7. They're violent, they're big and strong. We talked about it last year about having a great football team, and how can you tell the strength of a football team? How many kids on your team can power clean 300 pounds? Last year on March 26th, we had 19. And by June 26th, which is our last power clean date, we ended up with 46. We had 34 on March 28th, and we had 19 of them that were within 10 pounds of power clean 300. So we'll end up with 60 by the time we get to July. That's going to be the strongest damn team in the history of Arizona, which is fantastic, okay? Statistically, we did some things that were really cool on defense. The most turnovers in school history. Second most turnovers in school history. 33 was the record. We ended up with 31. Most interceptions in school history by a secondary. Led the nation in turnover margin, which is the biggest stat behind points. That's why we were 9-4. We didn't turn the ball over, and we took it away. And so what's the hardest thing to do? Hardest thing to do now is to replicate that, because last year when you walked into August, every school that had Arizona on their schedule had a W written over it. They won't now. But the other side of that is they're not going to be shocked when we show up and we have a good football team. So the season is 146 days away, and I can't wait, because Casino del Sol on September 5th, there should be a ton of people in there. Now, if there's not for the first game, when we come back against Northern Illinois 2 weeks later after the BYU game, it should be sold out. If people are excited. And we only get 6 guaranteed opportunities in the fall. And the deadline for season tickets is May 1st. And if you want to do your part, everybody talks about the day of NIL and rev share and all that stuff. The biggest support we can get right now is renew your season tickets or become a new season ticket holder. And the deadline to renew is May. It looks infomercial. Is May 1st. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and ask questions. Let's fire away.
Thank you, Coach.
Where were we at there, Coach Shear?
That's 10
That was easy. See?
Justin and Ryan.
Well, and you brought up the defensive line. What gave you the confidence that the guys that were coming back, were going to be able to be successful, and you didn't really have to look into the portal?
So we took one defensive lineman that we believe can play in the interior. His name is Kevin Moore. He will be here in about 4 weeks. Trey Smith coming back. If Trey doesn't come back, we would have probably looked for a D lineman that can play a 3, a 5, or a 9 with some experience. So he was our portal piece with the ability. And when he hurt his shoulder, I'm a big believer that God's plans are greater than ours. And I had a great talk with Trey and said, look, I've already talked to Christian. You have another year. So I think the best thing for you to do is to rehab it. You've never had an off season in 5 years of football. So let's fix it right now and have the opportunity to play on Team 123. And your ability to train and have another year under your belt with Coach Sevilla would be friggin' instrumental for you and for us. So didn't need that piece. Leroy Palu is going to be one of the best nose guards in the Big 12. And if we had another Waldrop, we could do some unbelievable things. Leroy will be in that conversation. I think he has the ability to do that. Mays Pesse played as a true freshman. Mays Pesse is up to 295 pounds. He's one that power cleans over 350 pounds. And he's a violent, twitchy, strong, really good football player. Prince Williams, who will be very much like Mays Pesse, will give us added depth in those spots. Okay? Julian Savanea is getting better and better and better. And last year I sat up here and I thought the most improved football player in our program was Tyler Powell. And I can't wait to see the Tyler Powell after he finishes recovery and we get to fall camp, because I think he's going to have a big year. But Dom Lalesio is the most improved football player on our team, and it ain't even close. And so we've got some pieces there, and I haven't even mentioned yet Ezra Funa. Zach Cialepa weighed in at 368 pounds this morning. His transformation has been fantastic, and solely because he finally made a choice that he wanted to do it. Ezra will give us some Leroy, and he's got some twitch like Deshaun McKnight. I'm not sure if he's as fast top end speed. We've got 6 kids in the D-line that can hit 19 to 20 miles an hour, which is freaking believable. We got Zach Cialepa at 368, who can still hit 18 miles an hour on the GPS. His first step has gotten just outstanding with his weight loss. Part of that is because he's significantly stronger than he was. It's not Ozempic, it's not starving himself, it's the young man decided and works his freaking tail off every single morning and then comes back in the afternoon and he's followed. Tara has done a fantastic job in our nutrition program. And then he actually moved in with Julian, and Julian has done a great job of holding Zach accountable. But it doesn't matter if Zach doesn't want to do it. And so he made the choice. Porter Patton is going to be like one of those D linemen that you see from Utah. That's 6'7", 280 pounds. He's still got some learning to go because the game's still a little bit fast. He got here in late summer last year, so he's almost like a mid-year kid. The weight room piece of that is fantastic. And then Keatron Harris. Keatron Harris is going to be a Trey Smith version. And Trey has been unbelievable for all these freshmen, by the way. Victor Johnson hit 21 miles an hour on the GPS on Tuesday's practice. Just got here a couple weeks ago and is doing some really good things. Will give us another piece of added depth. And then you've got pieces like Everett and Rousseau and Chase and Cooper, who can play down on the line of scrimmage, who can play off the line of scrimmage. We can make them a 3 technique by blitzing them through the B gap like we do oftentimes. So we have a ton of depth in the front 7. We have 4 or 5 guys that are 300 pounds, but those 300 pounders can move, which in the Big 12, you better be physical up front. And we saw what happened. We had 11-14 to go in the 4th quarter against BYU. We had a 10-point lead. And if we close that game out, we have a chance to play for the CFP against Texas Tech in Arlington. We screwed it up. And they hear about it every single day. And so those pieces, I thought they were good enough.
Brian and Jason.
After what you accomplished last year and meeting a lot of your goals, but maybe not all of them, where do you go from here as far as people saw the results you do? Is it a matter of you have to be better than that, or maintaining that is what you're looking for?
I've never finished number 1 in the country in total defense in my career. We were 2nd in the country going into the last game of the season in 2016 against Colorado State. We already knew we were playing in the conference championship, and we didn't do a good job of preparing our kids that night and got boat raced by Colorado State. We had played Wyoming the week before. We knew we were playing them again in the championship. It was a physical football game. We ended up beating them in the championship game. but we finished 5th in the country in total defense because we didn't perform well that night. We talked about last year when we beat top 15, we finished 13th in the country in yards per play, 19th in yards per game. We finished number 1 in the country in pass efficiency defense, number 5 in the country in passing yards attempted, number 7 in the country passing yards allowed. We want to be number 1. We want to be top 10 in all those categories. We want to continue to take the ball away, create turnovers, but where we screwed up last year and we weren't good enough was on run defense. The 2 games that we allowed people to run the football, we lost. They've heard that every day this fall, off season too. We didn't play well enough against BYU and Houston, and that's why we didn't have a chance to play in the conference championship game. And so don't let people run the ball. We talked about it. Everybody was concerned about Jeff Sims running quarterback power. Last week against Arizona State, he had 1 run for 27 yards. And that run pisses me off because I was going to have a thing down here to show you how we screwed that up too, but we'll do that another day.
Jason and Justin.
How much creativity does the depth up front allow you to have this season maybe compared to last?
The fun thing about what we'll do as we get to the end of spring ball is all 5 of the coaches on defense, the full-timers and then the 4 analysts, we will go and we'll put our top 22 football players, not by position, just by who we think is the absolute best to who is 22nd. So we can come up with our 2 deep. And then from that point, we'll decide what we can do schematically that gives people trouble and what we can do to fit our best players and get our best 11 on the field. And that's super fun. And we did it last year, so we knew we had an opportunity to have a package where we have 2 D linemen in there, 4 linebackers, and then the 5 secondary guys. Because we knew we had 5 very elite. And it's easier, like when they did the dime package and the dollar package in 2023, those were the best football players they had on the team. And so Coach Aquina and Coach Nansen did a fantastic job of creating packages where the kids could learn it and they could execute it. That was very similar to what we did with the 2 D linemen and 4 linebackers last year when we lost Tia and we lost Trey and Deshaun couldn't play in the last 2 games because of his foot. We came up, and then we lose Myron. We came up with ways that the offense has no idea what we're doing. We came up with the Red Rover series, all those things. So that stuff is fun as heck in this part of the year. And we don't have to play any games, so we can go out there and do whatever we want and see what works and throw it at the board and see what sticks and see what our guys can do. So the multiplicity piece is even going to be greater than last year. But the worst thing you can do as a coach is do so much stuff that your kids are so screwed up that they can't play fast. Because if we're violent and we play fast, we have a great chance to be successful. And so it doesn't matter if I sit back there like a mad scientist all day, which I sit in my office all day long and do nothing but draw and watch. And it's fantastic. It's like the greatest thing in the world. I don't have to deal with the stuff that Brennan has to deal with. I just sit back there and people come in my office and think I'm absolutely nuts. And it is so fun. And then when it's time to go, I get to go home and I live a half a mile from here now. So I can, if my wife walks over here and my kids, or I can walk over there and we're in the middle of building a swimming pool. We got all kinds of stuff going on at this place because we want to be here for a long ass time. But we have the option. I got off on a soapbox. We have the opportunity to be multiple if we don't screw them up. And I can promise you that we won't. We'll be able to play fast and violent. And we have pieces like, Gavin Hunter has had, the way he played in the first 2 games of last year and the maturity that he handled Traden Stukes coming back and stepping in and Gavin fading to the back on defense, but being able to play at a high level against SMU and come out now and dominate in the spring. Gavin's going to be an elite defensive back, and he will leave a legacy here very similar to what those 3 just left. I can't wait for the next 2 years with Gavin Hunter. I'm super excited. With the pieces, we're young in the secondary. Tyrese Boss has 3 years. Dwight Boodle has 2 years. Dalen Austin has 2 years. Zuri Watson has 3 years. Zaire Heiler has 4 years. The only guy we're going to lose next year, we'll lose Malcolm. We'll lose Boog, who's going to be the best corner. Javion Cole is the best corner in the Big 12, and I will put that on against anybody. I can't wait to see him play next year. So we have to replace those 2. But Matai moving from linebacker to safety has been fantastic. And then Quinn Olson, I have a great challenge to Quinn because if Quinn was a really good option and spread offensive quarterback in Iowa in high school. If he'll tackle some people, Quinn has range similar to Jen as far as how he can run and the ground he can cover. We got 2 pieces right there between Matai and Jen. And then we haven't even seen Cam Chapa yet because he's doing some recovery stuff. So we're so young in the secondary. It's super exciting. They're uber talented. We've got nobody knew how fast we were last year until these guys started running these crazy numbers at the combine. We have just as much speed or more in the secondary right now. We just got to teach them what to do. And we've got 2 of the best defensive back coaches in the country to do it. So it'll be fun.
The big 3, we've heard them being like the heartbeat of the defense. With that being said, going into this year, who are some guys that have stepped up as leaders of that group?
Trey had a big voice last year, but when he got hurt, that voice disappears because it doesn't matter how good of a player you are if you're not playing, or how good of a person you are, or your leadership skills. If you're not a player, it doesn't matter. So you have to be a player. Guys that don't play can lead from the side in certain things, but when it comes down to actually winning games, that guy better be on the field. And so Trey has done a phenomenal job in a short time. Gavin has been just so good in the secondary, leading that way. Quinn Olson has been great with how to do it, and not necessarily vocally, but he's made 4 or 5 interceptions in spring practice so far that have been a really pleasant surprise. And in the middle of our defenses, which is probably the most important, because the way we signal, the way I can call things in from the microphone to Tay and Chase, those 2 have really stepped up in an elite manner. Tay Brown is one of the best linebackers in the Big 12, if not the best. And I have tried my tail off to out-recruit him, and I can't. And that is fantastic, because when you watch Tay Brown and all the other stuff, the broad jump, the long jump, the high jump, the vertical, all this stuff, it's okay. It's not bad. I tell him it's bad all the time, but it's not bad. But it's not what Traden and Dalton were doing. But statistically on game day, he's just like Dalton. He makes every play. He's in the right spot. He's second on our team in tackles. He'll probably lead our team in tackles or be in the top 3 this year. He'll be in the top 5 in the Big 12. And if we can stay healthy, we'll have all those great things that we had last year. So those voices, and they did a great job. Now, last year at this time, we were having to convince them, and I was having to convince them to believe in me. I promise you, the stuff that we do is going to work if we have enough talent and you play hard. Now I don't have to convince them to believe in me. Now they believe in me. So the older guys are forcing the younger guys and the new guys within the program, this is how we do it. This is the only way it works. And if you don't want to do it that way, then get the hell out of here. And that's kind of across the board in our program. And so that's how you maintain and take a step forward. But I like I said with Coach Shear's question, I want to be the best defense in the country. And that's the challenge to our football team. There's nowhere to go from there. So if you have enough pieces and enough talent and they play hard, why not? And then guess what? We'll have a chance to play in the CFP and do all those fun things that everybody in the city of Tucson wants to do. The last thing before you cut me off, okay? April 28th is Kids of Steel. It's an opportunity for kids that they can do a football camp that it's been going on here for a while, and it is a fantastic camp. And then on May 5th, we have our camp it's called Extraordinary Cats. And it's anybody with an individual can come out, and we have a great opportunity. The best part of that camp is our kids do a phenomenal job of what I've explained to them is most of these kids don't have the opportunity they won't have the opportunity, and not all of them, most of them won't have the opportunity to play Division I sports. Most of them won't have the opportunity to play in Casino del Sol Stadium in front of 50,000 people. So it's your job to create a Saturday in the fall on May 5th for those kids. And last year, it was absolutely fantastic. We had 62. Hopefully this year we have 100. And it's an individual, it's a disability of any kind. There is no age restriction. Come on out, and we're going to do football drills. All sports on campus are invited to come. And, we just had the wheelchair basketball national championships with an unbelievable program. We've got the SALT program at the University of Arizona for kids with disabilities and learning disabilities. That is absolutely fantastic and one of the greatest programs in the entire country. And so the opportunity, obviously my daughter, Abby, has Down syndrome. My 13-year-old Chloe has type 1 diabetes. The opportunities that she gets, I mean, when she walks in and Noah Fafita sees my girls, he's like the greatest human being in the world. He goes, oh, it does not matter what he's doing, he'll stop it. Last year it was take Abby around. But he gives that same attention to every single person in that camp. And then our kids last year had no idea what that camp involved. And so I think it was better for our football team. And they had as much or more fun than the individuals that got to participate in the camp. And so it's a great blessing. One, Coach Brennan allowed us to continue this camp because I promised my wife at San Diego State, if I ever had the opportunity to be a head coach, we would start a camp. And we started it in New Mexico. It was 100% her idea. And Ed McCaffrey and Christian McCaffrey started a camp for football kids that lasted a week for kids with Down syndrome. And she saw it, and she's like, this would be awesome. And Coach B, I asked him if we could do it, and he was like, hell yes, we can do it. So between the Kids of Steel and our extraordinary camp, Cats Camp, it's two of the greatest things that the University of Arizona football program does. We've got a great opportunity to give those kids their Saturday in the fall. And so anybody who wants to be involved, it's May 5th. It's at 6 p.m. We do it in the indoor. It is absolutely fantastic. So buy your season tickets. Deadline is May 1st. Either renew them or get new ones. Let's fill up Casino del Sol Stadium, okay? If you want to help, show up to the games. That's the best way to help because in the world of revenue share and NIL and having a great basketball program, having a great football program, and the commitment that Desiree has made, I talked about it last year, continuity is the greatest way to build a football program. We have a head coach, you have a defense coordinator, an offensive coordinator, a special teams coordinator that want to be in Tucson, that want to represent the 5-2-0 in everything they do. And then you had an opportunity for Alonzo Carter to go be a head football coach at the FBS level. And then Caleb Moore goes to Portland State to be an assistant. You got some young assistants to have opportunities. When people are coming to steal your coaches, it means you're doing the right thing. And when you have a leader like Brent Brennan, and you have the administration with Desiree that has a total commitment to football, you can build something really special. And Brent Brennan is going to build a monster in Tucson because of the support he has from President Garamella, from Desiree. And Desiree has been phenomenal in what she's done for our football program. And I can't wait to put a team out there in the fall with Seth on the other side, year 2, of those, all of our kids hearing the same voices and hearing the same message from the top down. Telling the city of Tucson, let's fill up Casino del Sol Stadium. Make it just like McHale. Make it the greatest place to play a football game because on November 6th, when we play TCU on a Friday night, after we just played Texas Tech in Lubbock on Halloween, it ought to be the hardest ticket to buy in the history of the city of Tucson. There's only 6 of them in the fall. And I promise you this, you're going to have guys that go out there and compete their tails off and have a chance to compete for a conference championship just like we did last year. We got to keep number 1 healthy. And Coach Oglesby is the right man to do it. Once again, everybody in the country tried to steal Coach Oglesby, and he chose Arizona. You've got a bunch of people that have chosen to stay at the University of Arizona, to live in Tucson, to build a monster. And Coach Brennan is in the process of doing that. So let's have some fun. I appreciate y'all. Bear down.
Thanks, guys.